Okay, this is the second part of our video, and as you can see I have a carburetor that I just pulled out from being soaked, and what I like to do is take a little bit of carb cleaner and spray it in each of these ports. So there's just a straw on here. Want to clean all these little holes on your carburetor through here, through these holes as well. If you turn the butterfly, you'll see that there's some little holes inside here. I like to make sure that those holes in there are cleaned out as well. And anything on the other side, any dirt, debris, the high and low holes as well, I like to have those nice and clean. And you can just put the straw in there and spray in your carb cleaner. Once all the parts are thoroughly cleaned with carb cleaner, I like to just take a rag and really clean off the tips of the high and low screw real well. I'll put the spring on here like this, and this is the high screw. It's ready to get inserted in the carburetor. You might notice that this carburetor is a little different than the one that I was working on the other day, but I just wanted to finish up this video for you guys, and I actually have two chainsaws I'm working on. So I like to screw the high screw all the way in. So just take your time. You don't want to press too hard because you want it to seat but not go too far. So there's the bottom, and I'm going to count out half a turn, one turn. This one was set at 1.5. And I will continue this process with the low screw the same way. Alright, now that the high and low screw are both put in and set, I'm going to put in the fuel filter screen. It's just a very small screen. It goes in this hole here. The best way to get it in the hole that I actually use is I'll take a nail and I'll just slightly push it down until it seats itself nicely in the hole. Okay, so that looks good. The next step is to set up your needle, the fulcrum, and the spring. So you're going to ever so carefully hold the fulcrum and take the needle, and you want to slide that head right inside the fulcrum like that. And you're going to take this piece and you're going to slide it through here just like this. You want to make sure it's not sticking and it pivots nice, because if any rust is in there, the needle won't open and close as it needs to. And then you're going to take the spring, and you want to very carefully put the spring underneath the fulcrum there. It's going to line up under there. There's like a little peg to hold it. The next step is to put your spring inside the carburetor. It's standing right in the hole here. And you want to take your needle assembly and you're going to carefully lower it right over top of the spring, and you're going to have to let it sort of sit in place like that. And then generally what I'll do is I'll take a finger watching that spring, and you want to carefully push it down and hold it in place. Now you got to make sure that this rod here is in place properly, and then the next thing that you want to do is you want to take the small Phillips head screw. It's the smallest one that you remove from the carburetor, and you want to put that in that hole, and you want to carefully tighten it up, and you want to snug up your needle and seat there and make sure everything's good and working. So if we take a look at it, when this gets pushed down, it opens and closes the needle. You want to make sure that that's working. So the next step that we have here is we want to put back on the gaskets in the right order. So the first gasket that we're going to put on goes right on there like that. Then we have our new metering gasket, which will go right over top, just like that. You want to make sure it sits on there right. Then finally you'll put on your metal plate, and you want to make sure that the hole on this metal plate points towards Mexico on the side. It says Mexico right there. Sometimes these carburetors say China there. Then you'll begin with your 4 small Phillips head screws, and you want to make sure that you get them in the holes and lined up. So there's one that started, and I like to do cross corners just to keep them in there and try and evenly pressure that plate as you tighten it. So we'll turn that one in just till it snugs up a little, and then we'll turn this in, and we'll continue the process for the other two small screws on the metering side of this carburetor. Alrighty, on this side of the carburetor, I refer to my notes and I figure out that this is the order that the gaskets go in. First of all, it'll be the plastic one that lines up like this. Then it'll be the thicker rubberish material gasket. This one's going to go on this way. And if you lose track, a lot of times you can see like grooves in the gasket where they made it up with the metal parts. So I like to set these two on the carb like that, and then I take my metal plate and I flip it over and try and line it right up with the holes. And in order to line this thing up, you're going to need to move the choke plate a little bit to get everything to line up like that. And you'll feel when everything comes together. You want to be careful that all your holes are lining up. And then you take your screw, which is just a Phillips head screw, and you want to tighten that up. If you like videos like this, I have other videos on the same type of topics, fixing things, reviews of tools. I'm going to be building a shed in the spring, so maybe you could put me on your favorites. I'm going to be posting a lot of videos here in the future. Alright, so there you go.